Hello, my name is Scotia Dave and welcome back to Resident Evil 6. Last episode we read some of Leon's entries. Now we're going to read some of Chris's. Chris Redfield. Chris Redfield is a 39-year-old BSAA operative, but he looks at least, well, doesn't look a day over 25. 30 maybe 35. Working in its North American branch, he was the leader of Alpha Team until he suffered post-traumatic amnesia, yeah he did, and wound up a belligerent drunk rude in the underbelly of Eastern Europe. Around this time, a biohazard outbreak in China shocks the world. Piers Nevins, great guy, his teammate on Alpha, finds Chris and convinces him to resume his leadership role in the BSAA. Despite his memory loss, Chris retains the fortitude and leadership skills that make him one of the BSAA's top agents. Because he's fucking Chris Redfield. Oh, pardon me. The BSAA, in the wake of the Umbrella Corporation's dissolution in 2003, many other pharmaceutical companies saw their bioorganic weapons research enter the black market. Whether in the hands of organized crime or terrorists, bioweapons were destroying lives around the world. In response to voices calling for action to be taken, the Global Pharmaceutical Consortium formed the Anti-Terrorist Task Force known as the Bioterrorism Security Assessment Alliance, or BSAA. Initially, the BSAA was just a civilian organization with only advisory status. But as the threat posed by bioterrorism spread, the United Nations decided to sponsor the group in order to have a quick response force that could deal with threats around the world. With its new sponsorship in place, the BSAA gained the authority to carry out investigations in countries the world over, and to make arrests wherever it is dispatched. Piers Nevins, great guy. Piers Nevins is a 26-year-old BSAA operative working for its North American branch. He's only 26? That's even sadder. Chris Redfield is his commanding officer. I really liked Piers. His hand-eye coordination and concentration skills are without peer, making him the BSAA's top-ranking sniper. He can react quickly to the changing conditions on a battlefield, and as such he will usually find a way to complete his mission in spite of any adverse conditions, even losing an arm. A serious and determined man in battle, he still has time to offer a kind word for his fellow soldiers. It is these qualities that cause his CO to comment that the future of the BSAA rests on the shoulders of men like him. Nevins himself prefers not to think of his team as subordinates, but as members of a big family. He believes that the strength of the BSAA hinges on the bonds of all its agents. He holds Captain Redfield in the highest respect, and Captain Redfield trusts him implicitly. The C virus. The C virus will turn human hosts into creatures called Javo. The virus mutates the host in horrific ways, and it is the latest bioorganic weapon to threaten the safety of the world. One of its first known uses was as a health-preserving drug given to the mercenary soldiers in one of Eastern Europe's many internecine conflicts. Following its use in Europe, many Javo-like creatures began to turn up around the world. The C stands for chrysalid, as the virus will encase a human host in a cocoon-like shell before its final mutation. I think the door went, Naomi. Finn McCulkey. Finn McCulkey is a 22-year-old BSAA operative working for its North American branch. The first real action he sees is in Indonia's civil war. Chris Redfield is his commanding officer, and it was very, very sad. He is honest and sincere, if somewhat timid. I don't remember him being timid. He shouted orders at me. As an explosive expert, he is tasked with destroying barricades and anti-aircraft gun turrets. Unfortunately, he falls victim to... what was her name? Clara's machinations. Let's not blame Ada for that. Succumbing to an infection that turns him into one of the very BOWs he was tasked with fighting. After losing his humanity during the transformation into a mindless creature, he is killed by BSAA support troops dispatched to Edonia to dispose of the BOWs. That was very sad. Kristas Amnesia. Chris Redfield suffered post-traumatic amnesia after he and his team were caught in a trap sprung by Clara. Also, not even Wong. In the Republic of Edonia, most of his team died and an unconscious Chris was brought to a local hospital. Upon waking up, Chris had no recollection of who he was or what had occurred, but his mind was racked by an overwhelming and inexplicable guilt. Chris determined to run away, and he left the hospital before anyone could check in on him, until Piers, Nevins, and the BSAA found him. Chris lived as a moody, violent drunk, rude, hoping that he could numb himself to the pain of what happened that fateful day. Chris and Leon. Chris Redfield and Leon Kennedy work for two different organizations and have no reason to interact with each other, but they do share one connection: Chris's sister Claire. Following the mansion incident in 1998, Chris set out for Europe on his own, determined to bring down Umbrella before he left. He neglected to inform Claire as to his whereabouts, so she came to Raccoon City to find him. There she met Leon, and together they fought their way out of the horrors of Raccoon City. Claire was then reunited with Chris on Rockfort Island. She loves and respects her brother, but she considers Leon a trusted friend. With Claire as a mutual contact, it would only be a matter of time before the two met. Although the interactions between their respective organizations are highly restricted, when they finally met, both were able to understand each other's deep convictions, particularly those related to the eradication of bioorganic weapons. Neo Umbrella. In Edonia, Chris and his BSAA team fell into a trap set by Ada Wong. She used the C virus to turn his team into BOWs. It was actually Clara. As the leader of Neo Umbrella, Ada brought the C virus that had been developed in China to the civil war in Edonia, where she secretly gave it to the insurgents to administer to its mercenary fighters. The mercenaries then mutated into creatures known as Javo, and she gathered the data on their transformations, like a bitch. Chris had spent most of his life fighting the pharmaceutical company Umbrella, almost losing it on numerous occasions. It's not hard to imagine what he thought when he first heard of the name Neo Umbrella. Why Clara named her organization such is a question only she can answer. Piers' file. All the men in Piers Nevins' family have been in the military, going all the way back to his great-grandfather. For as long as he can remember, Piers wanted to follow in his father's footsteps. He graduated at the top of his class from elite military academy, where he was highly recognized for his skills as a sniper. Following graduation, he joined the Army Special Forces. Not long after joining the Special Forces, he became disillusioned. While he continued to participate in the drills without a hitch, he yearned for some greater calling, a reason for all his training. In 2010, he found that calling when Chris Redfield, impressed with Piers' sniper skills, asked him to join the BSAA. Piers was impressed with the way Chris ran Alpha Team. He treated them like family and not like expendable soldiers. Chris, for his part, knew he couldn't be a field agent forever, which is why he recruited Piers. Chris believes the future of the BSAA lies with talented individuals like Piers, and Piers, for his part, now has a cause worth fighting for. That's Chris's stuff that I've actually got. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next episode, where we'll look at Jake's. Goodbye.